So recently I got a comment stating about the whole thing of why is John Entwistle the best bass player and why is Paul show-offy. Now, in order to not offend anybody who's a Paul fan, I want to try and be, well, diplomatic about it. So, the reason I said Paul is show-offy is because unlike John Entwistle, who, to my knowledge, doesn't take his eye off the ball and is focused. Yeah, he looks up occasionally, but mostly he is focused. And George Harrison of the Beatles, who is focused and occasionally has a lead. Do you get what I mean? I feel like Paul, should be more focused on his playing and occasionally chip in when it comes to vocals. I think when you compare it to John Entwistle, whilst the difference is that Paul was the leader as well as John Lennon, and John Entwistle was the side character as opposed to Pete Townsend and Roger Daltrey, it's very hard to pinpoint. A lot won't get what I'm trying to say, but I feel like that, despite the fact that obviously he's the lead and he's going to have their moments, he just seems to up every time. Like, I see music videos and he's singing, he could do anything wrong. He could get a key wrong, he could get a line wrong, but that's the thing, So don't get me wrong when I'm saying that. I mean, I know it sounds really like thinkable that I could dislike Paul. I like him as a bass player, and don't get me wrong, he's good. But I have to agree, some people will say John Entwistle, and I agree with them, because John is bloody good, man. The Ox, man. Who could do that My Generation bass line better than him? Do 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 do. Like, that is just something that only John Entwistle could do. Like, if Paul was doing a cover, I don't think he could be nearly as great as John Entwistle. And I don't just mean that on Paul's circuit. I'm sure that John Entwistle couldn't rive out the bits to, Hard Day's Night or anything. But, and there's another thing that may not seem like a big thing to worry about. I can't really hear the bass in the Beatles. I generally can't. Can someone tell me if they hear the bass in the Beatles? Because I generally don't. I generally can't hear the bass. Because it's obviously so synced in with the drums, rhythm, and lead that you wouldn't be able to hear it. But I think another thing as well is that Paul's is a German Hofner bass, and John Entwistle's was a standard British one. There was a lot to that. So they're very different in terms of bass tone, I believe. That's probably another reason why John Entwistle does tick the boxes on being the best out of them. Of course, Paul is on the list, and the top list at that. I wouldn't say John Deacon is any as close to Paul, but the thing is, and I saw some people rank Paul at 3 and then put John Entwistle at 1, and he totally deserves it. I mean, people do say that John Entwistle is probably the best, and that goes without saying because there is a lot. And some people will say, "Oh, why are you Paul shaming?" Because I am. Sue me. Paul shaming is not a big deal. It really, really isn't. So to that comment, in terms of the show off, that's my reasons. And in terms of why is John better than Paul? I've explained it. I think he's very good, he keeps himself focused, and he doesn't show off. Literally. I feel like in the Beatles, if Paul had sung a couple of lines and just, put his head down and give George or John, lines in it, it would have been 10 times better. But you can take it as me Paul shaming, you can take me as making things up. I think, personally, I'm right with what I'm saying. I'm not biased towards myself in any way, but I think, you just gotta go with it. I think so. I hope that clears things up, so that you don't think I'm just ratting on Paul for any reason. I'm not trying to, but I know it sounds like I'm trying to. That's. I hope that's cleared things up.